Welcome back, all you lovely people. I hope you had a nice little stretch there. And now we can get back to Michael Walzer's discussion of dirty hands. Now, in the last video, we had seen Walzer's account of political leadership, where leaders, he thinks, cannot govern innocently. That, no, I'm sorry, he says, don't be naive, he says. Political leaders must be prepared to get their hands dirty. And as he says, this is because he thinks anyway. I mean, you feel free to disagree with this, but he really does think that political leadership rests, or will at least encounter, dilemmas between utilitarianism on the one hand and some kind of absolute deontology on the right. And the dirty hands comes from doing wrong, from breaking a constraint, while, again, promoting the greater good. The greater good. That's the idea. And so Michael Walzer wants to illustrate this. I mean, he does two examples. We've already talked about the one about just getting elected, but then he's like, let's raise the stakes a bit. And let's talk about this example of torture, where there's bombs hidden all over a city and they are set to explode in 24 hours. Ooh. And you have captured the terrorist who knows where the locations of these bombs are. And now the question, of course, is, should the leader authorize torture in this situation? Now, to kind of dramatize this whole thing, I have a clip here from a movie where Samuel L. Jackson, I hope you know who he is, he's the torturer. And as you can tell, if you watch what he's doing here and throughout the clips, it's not so much what he says, but you see his facial expressions, his behavior. You can tell he, of everyone there, realizes what's going on, that there is a dilemma and how filthy and dirty his hands are. You can tell he's disgusted with himself and what he's doing while he's doing it. I mean, he's doing it and he's passionate for this torture that he's engaging in, but he seems to, at times when he's not being watched by the others, really going through a crisis because he knows how dirty his hands are through all this. And you'll see in the clip that there's Carrie Ann Moss. Some of you might know her. She's the FBI agent. She seems, at least initially, she seems to be kind of the absolutist deontologist here, really against the torture and the things that are happening. And then you have this older white guy that's played by Stephen Root. Some of you may have seen him in other stuff, but he's kind of the government representative, and you can tell he's pretty utilitarian about what's going on here. Now, before I go into the clip, it's a long clip, by the way, a long clip from the movie. I'll just say this clip is very, very violent. I'm not going to mince words. It is very violent, and there are some shocking and disturbing images in it. Now, that said, it is a rated R movie. It was, so it's not going crazy here, but I will say for the more sensitive students out there, this might be rough to watch. So I'm just warning you right now. So if you do need to pause this video and, prepare yourself, makes total sense. But just the heads, yes, an R-rated movie, and this is definitely why this movie has an R rating. Also, as I said, it's a pretty long clip, so if you also just want to pause and grab some popcorn, that's fine too. But take a moment, and then when you're ready, here we go. Yikes. Yes, very intense movie there. Feel free again to pause. If you want to collect yourself, that's a pretty intense sequence there. Feel free to pause for a moment and collect yourself. Okay, so we can see in that scene this progression and escalation of the situation. First, the question, of course, is just whether or not to torture the terrorist at all. Again, torture this person and you save millions of lives. Don't do it. And all those people die when the bombs explode. Now, of course, utilitarians, this is a no-brainer. This isn't even a challenge. Torture. That's save lives. That's easy. Utilitarianism, baby. But some people, at least, might think there is a constraint against torture. And with that said, when I usually discuss this with students, most students are like, no, you know what? So if this really is the case, what you've described is really what's happening, I'm okay with it. And I say, well, why? Why is it okay to torture this guy? And they're like, well, he's a terrorist. So of course it's okay because he's a bad guy. So of course, torture the terrorist. But as this movie shows, this terrorist had military training and is resisting Samuel L. Jackson's character's like, he won't break. He won't be able to get the truth of the bombs from him. The torture's not going to work with this guy. And so everyone's kind of thinking, okay, well, we guess we can stop the torture. It's kind of pointless now. It's not going to create any good. It's just waste of time, basically. But as we find out, a new scenario appears. We have the terrorist's wife and 2 children. And we know that the terrorist loves his wife and kids. So now we have a new option that emerges, as you saw in the video. First, we kill the wife. Sorry, has to be done because the terrorist needs to know we're serious. The terrorist needs to know there are no limits. And then we'll torture the kids in front of the terrorist until he speaks. That's why Samuel L. Jackson ends the clip saying, "Bring me the children." You can watch the movie and see what happens. But notice now, a utilitarian is still like, what's the problem? Torture, torture, torture. If it's gonna work, we torture. The answer is obvious. Kill the wife, torture the kids, find the locations of the bomb. Done. And the utilitarian says, and don't even feel guilty. Samuel L. Jackson, why are you feeling so guilty? No guilt here. You did the right thing. You saved all the lives. The math speaks for itself. That's what a utilitarian would say. And heck, we've seen John Stuart Mill, a little more sophisticated. He likes justice. He likes, human rights. And so he, though, I think John Stuart Mill will have to say, yeah, we're going to have to torture the wife and kids. Sorry. Because remember, John Stuart Mill was all about security. And torturing those innocents, wife and children, may be necessary to promote that national security. So the John Stuart Mill and other utilitarians seem to be united. Torture and don't feel guilty about it because you don't apologize. You did the right thing. You saved the most lives. Full stop. However, the rest of us, I'm assuming at this point, are, to say the least, extremely uncomfortable, if not profoundly disturbed. I think at this point, when it comes to the wife and children, we have hit a genuine moral dilemma. Yes, utilitarianism. Save all those lives. And yeah, as a political leader, you are responsible for all those people. And so, sorry, as a leader, you have a duty to save those millions of people from those bombs. That is your duty. That's why you were elected. That's why you have the power and the apparatus of the state to do all those things. But on the other hand, of course, we have a pretty clear, I hope, compelling constraint against harming innocents. So killing the wife and torturing the children should be off the table, right? At least it seems like, no, we should not be doing this. And so we have a true moral dilemma. If it's described, why did that happen? Because we have a true moral dilemma here that Michael Walzer is saying that, yeah, you are going to have to do some horrible stuff. It seems like you have no choice. And it looks like you're probably going to have to save those lives because that's what leadership involves. But let's maybe I'm jumping ahead. Jump to page 167. Scroll all the way down to 167. Here you'll notice what Walzer says. When the leader tortures, now they are a guilty person. Their willingness to acknowledge and to bear and perhaps to repent and do penance for their guilt is evidence. And it is the only evidence they can offer us. And what we're kind of seeing here is that if you really want to take this dilemma seriously, this is a key idea. If you take this moral dilemma seriously, no matter what you do, you are committing a crime. Because if you side with absolute deontology and if you refuse to torture, sure, your hands are clean. Well done. You keep your innocence. But millions die. And you have committed a crime against national security because you could have stopped that terrorist attack and you did not. Wow, okay. So a crime against national security. Or as Walzer seems to be suggesting, you side with utilitarianism, torture the children, but you save all those lives. Then again, sorry, you're not a hero because you have committed a crime. This time, this is a crime against morality. By harming and torturing innocent children, your hands are dirty. And that, my friends, you are my friends, right? I can crash at your place this weekend because we're friends. No? I was going to pick you up at the airport. Fine. What was I saying? I always get sidetracked here. What was I saying? Students. You see the dilemma here. There's a true dilemma. No matter what the leader does, the leader is going to be a criminal. The leader is going to have committed a crime, either a crime against national security or a crime against morality. And so how should the leader respond to these moral dilemmas between utilitarianism and absolute deontology? The example of torture. I've kind of indicated already, but I think we need a snack break before I go into the details about how Walzer is going to justify what a leader ought to do in those situations. So where'd those Cheetos go? I think they're back in the refrigerator. I'm going to go get my Cheetos. I love that I keep Cheetos in the refrigerator. It cracks me up. People who visit my house will think I'm crazy. What was I talking about? Snack break. You get a snack, I get a snack. And then we'll come back and wrap this module up.